issues in sports coalesce around dollar signs, but they also coalesce around other things too, which is globalization and youth sports. Without both of those, we can't have any future as far as any sport goes, whether it's American football or the like. And Patrick Steenberge is probably the worldwide expert on global football in, let's say, faraway places. He's orchestrated football tours to places like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Scotland, Switzerland, Panama, Argentina, Japan. He's been involved with the NFL and now is involved in other contexts, including the Pop Warner Super Bowl that we just attended. Patrick, how are you? How's that intro?
Hey, good day. That works for me. I'm sitting here in Mexicali, Mexico today. I've got 53 players from all the top Division III schools in the country here to play in the Tazón de Estrellas. This is the 19th year that we're going to play against the Mexican All-Stars, so it's a fun thing to do every year before Christmas.
Well, you know, you are a Christmas gift to football and to kids, to be honest about it, because, you know, you've been involved in the business for over 40 years, communication, special events, international travel, and marketing. You told me the story at the Pop Warner Super Bowl about how you evolved into this. It's one of the world's biggest travel agents, you might say, because the success of your world depends on unique travel contacts, but also a vision that American football can go global. Talk about it a bit.
Yeah, it was, I can remember vividly sitting in my own little office in Granbury, Texas, when I was 44 years old, and my children were growing up, and, you know, things were going pretty good, but I had this yearning to get back into football. You know, I'd gotten hurt my senior year at Notre Dame, so the dream of playing in the league was gone, and I got into other things which, you know, had been pretty successful at, but I just really wanted to get back into football, and I wasn't going to start coaching at that point. So I created this idea called global football, with the whole idea of taking student athletes of all different ages at the amateur level, different countries, and exposing them to other cultures, giving them a chance to experience and learn through travel, and then to play the game that I think is the greatest sport that's ever been created, which around the world is known as American football. We just know it is football. So it's been a great adventure, a great ride, and I get to work with some really wonderful people through this experience.
Well, let's talk about how it's working. Obviously, Mark Waller and NFL International guys are proud of the London series, the Mexican game, the Canadian series in Toronto. Everybody talks about that as the highest visible, but yet many ways the backbone of international development are the expats in Germany, the folks who are playing in a solid, fundamental way. You know, and you talked about 351 teams in 26 countries and 6 continents. And so what's your biggest challenge?
Yeah, my biggest challenge, I guess, is getting the funding to allow these teams to travel. I mean, who wouldn't want to do it? You know, I provide this opportunity to the youth teams, the high school teams, you know, all around, you know, every day I'm talking to some coach somewhere, some league, and they all want to do it. It's just who has the funding to actually do it. But they're great emissaries of the game. They travel, they present the game. We always do clinics for coaches, clinics for kids. Like this afternoon here in Mexicali, Mexico, we're going to have about 300 young kids come out after our practice with our Division III All-Star team. They're going to come out, and we're going to do a 1-hour clinic and have these kids sign autographs and coach up a little football. And then tonight the coaches will come over and we'll sit around in the lobby of the hotel doing the same thing. So I'm kind of doing it grassroots, one by one. But yeah, there could be more, I guess, of a unified effort. But it's kind of up to each of the federations around the world, and some of them do it better than others. And of course, there's never enough money to go around, but we're getting it done bit by bit.
The bit by bit is the interesting piece of this as well. Obviously, the NFL had you involved with their international Super Bowl that was part of the Super Bowl festivities as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I remember very well in 1997, I had this idea to present kind of the development of the sport at the Super Bowl, and I walked in, and a couple of guys who gave me an audience, one of them being Pete Abatansi, who is now the assistant to Roger Goodell. This was before there was an NFL international division. there was an organization called NFL Properties that was part of the league. And I just said, look, I want to do a game after the Super Bowl. I want to play real football. I'll organize it, present it, do it, invite the team. You just help me with a little bit of funding. And they said, okay, we'll watch you do it, which they did for a few years. And then in 2001, the NFL basically bought the event from me, paid me to manage it, and it was a great success for 11 years. We did that where we brought in high school age teams from around the world. I remember vividly playing in Houston where the USA team was coached by Katy High School state champion Mike Johnston, and then there was a team from Canada, Mexico, Panama, Japan, and Europe, and it was a really good success. We did that for 11 years, and it was a great opportunity. When I was just down in Orlando, where you and I met at the Pop Warner Super Bowl, one of the big coaches from Finland came up and he said, do you remember me? We met in 1999 when he played in that NFL Global Junior Championship. He was part of Team Europe. While he was there, he was seen by some Nebraska coaches who were there scouting the local high schools, and he got a full scholarship, got an education, played 4 years for the Cornhuskers, and then went on and played in NFL Europe. So that was just great to get that connection back again.
I saw those Finns play, and those 300-pound linemen, I guess they're destined for Nebraska, right?
It seems to be where a lot of them go.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, the other piece of this, too, Patrick, is the nationalistic instinct, but the opportunity to spread sport and spread goodwill. The UAE team, the United Arab Emirates, really kind of a darling of the event, just getting back from Dubai and Abu Dhabi myself, and to see how excited they were with 53 different nationalities on their team and viewing themselves as kind of the Pied Piper of international football. I guess what it takes is a grassroots effort that spreads kind of organically over the world, and all you do kind of is just facilitate it, huh?
Yeah, that's a really great example there at the UAE. And Patrick Campos, the guy who kind of heads up the league over there, a few years back, he just rang me up, which I get emails from all around the world, it seems, every week with an idea to do something, to come somewhere. But I was obviously knew about the Emirates and was curious, so I went over and visited, and I was impressed with their organization. They've got a football league, as you say, from families from all around the world who are there as expats, and they're playing the game. And they came this year to the Pop Warner Super Bowl. They won. They were the champions of our younger division, our junior varsity league, and they do a really good job. It takes it's just like youth sports anywhere. It takes men and women, moms and dads, and uncles and grandpas who are dedicated to their youngsters to make it happen. So it's fun to work with them and give them kind of an opportunity to showcase their development in the sport, and then also to just have fun playing sports. I think sometimes we all lose track of that when we look at the contracts out there, the coaches hired and fired, and all of that. We lose track sometimes that, hey, sports is all about fun. It's supposed to be young men having a blast out there playing the game, and that's what that kind of epitomizes it.
Yeah, clearly. Do we compete in your context for the hearts and minds of the young athlete? Football is the world's game, but not our football. And so are you in a position of having to explain to young athletes why they should try our game versus rugby versus soccer?
I'm not really – I don't think I really have to explain it. I think our game is under attack for sure, because of, the publicity around the concussions, around injuries and things. And it's a tough game. There's no doubt about it. But when I look at myself and what I've been able to do in my life, I look back to my upbringings at, St. Luke Grade School and Erie Cathedral Prep High School, and the fact that I was involved in a football team since I was in third grade, I think helped form me and helped create, whatever I've been able to do to this point. So I think the sport is a great teacher, and I believe in it. And I believe in the ability to learn through travel. I just think, to me, I tell these guys, I was just meeting with this team last night, just saying, you hit the jackpot just being born in America. That you had nothing to do with that, but you were born in America. You have a great, gift there. you need to go out and explore the world and see what else goes on in the world so that we can have a better understanding and a better global culture, which I believe is part of our world's future. And I think the sport of football does that.
The sport of football does it, and you do it very well. In the merging of travel and education and sport, we're lucky to kind of have you involved in this business. Patrick Steenberge, founder of Global Football,